Hey y'all, good morning. I hope y'all can hear me. Let me move my mic.
Mhm.
Good morning. Welcome to Playing with Possibilities. I'm so happy to have y'all here, whether you're live or on the replay, with me, my friend Ade, and my friend Christine. We're going to introduce ourselves and then we're going to take a deep belly breath and then we will dive right into our topic. My name is Cecile Armstrong. I am the founder of Inspired by Indigo, where I help folks let go of blame, shame, and guilt so they can make anti-racism and anti-oppression a habit. This is so important right now because people are all talking about this, and too many of us are afraid to actually do anything about it. And so, my community is all about giving people a space to practice what they're learning and to take in what they're learning about anti-racism and anti-oppression and practice it so that they can take it out into the world and actually do something to make a difference. And now I will turn it over to my friends to let you know who they are, and then we'll take a breath.
Ade, Anifowose. Well, in short, really, my work is to support people and stop pulling themselves apart and recognizing the wholeness. There are many ways I do that, but in short, is to bring it all together, integrate it, and recognize there was no mistake in the beginning. So you might as well get on with what's in front of you.
I
That's
love
it.
that today. Love it. Hey, y'all, I'm Christine Gautreaux. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the owner of Christine Gautreaux Consulting. And I am a white social justice advocate, an international speaker, podcaster, coach, dancing social worker, and a published author who helps folks upgrade yourself and community care in order to sustain the work because we've got a lot of work to do. And how do we do it? How do we sustain it? So, my community is all about getting connected to yourself and other women. And, we do it together. We don't have to do it by ourselves.
Yeah. That's what I like about this live stream with y'all is not doing it by
Mhm.
myself. I like doing it together. All right, so I'm going to invite everyone now to get in our bodies for a minute before we even start our discussion. So let's take a deep breath. I want you to sit up straight, give your belly room to expand. Notice where your shoulders are. Are they up around your ears? Mine were just a minute ago. Bring them down. Bring them down. Notice if you're holding tension in your jaw or anywhere else in your body. And intentionally, consciously, just let that go. And now bring your attention to your belly. Place your hands on your belly if you want to. Close your eyes and take in a deep breath. And then at your own pace, go ahead and exhale. And let's do one more deep breath. And I want you to really focus on noticing your belly expanding out to the front, out to the sides. You might feel some expansion in your back. Go ahead, do a deep inhale. And then when you're ready, go ahead and let it go. And then open your eyes. I don't know about y'all, but I needed that. All the running around beforehand, I needed that to settle down before we get started.
What I call the running around to look calm. Good
Right?
afternoon. How's
Right.
everybody doing? let's take let's take a deep breath.
Right. You know what? Maybe we should talk about that for a minute. How all the things that we do in order to present a certain face to the world and how we show up is not always how we actually are. And talk about how a lot of us are really trying to bring our full and authentic self, you know,
Mhm.
to people, but at the same time, we're still doing all this prep stuff in the background so
Yes.
that we can show up and be calm for other people and still try to show who we really are.
Yeah, I
And then
think
at
it's
the
a yes
go
and.
ahead.
Oh,
Mhm.
go, Ade.
No, Christine, go ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking about this weekend when you were doing that belly breath, Cecile. So I had the honor of being present for my friend Shannon Willow. She does soul care. She
Mhm.
does like day retreats about the environment and getting in touch with ourselves and other people. And so I have been wanting to go to her work for years. She does this incredible work, and it worked out that I could go. And I was going to have to leave a little early because my youngest daughter had a concert, one
Mhm.
of her college concerts that I wasn't going to miss, right?
Mhm.
So it ended up that we closed circle right at the time I needed to leave. So I didn't have to sneak away or anything like that. I got to do that, but I was rushing. I was rushing to get from one place to another. So this was
Mhm.
personal. It wasn't work. But when I got there and I slid into the seat right before the concert started, and it was still a mask event, thank goodness, because I was underneath my mask, I was releasing the stress in my jaw and taking some deep breaths and like really because we use the practices that we teach. It is part of our life and our life
Mhm.
practice, but sometimes it's not easy because we do have full, incredible lives. And even
Mhm.
really good stuff can be a
Yeah.
lot,
Yeah,
right?
it
Yes.
can.
Yes.
So,
So true. So true. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, it's definitely the both and reality. And I know that sometimes it's easier to make one thing better than the other
Mhm.
because as Ricky Christine just said, we have a full life. So much is happening, so much happening in mind. You call people by a different name and you don't even know why. It's like, what, Ricky, how? But it's, and I think for me what is emerging now is not to judge the time where I have so much I need to do. I mean, just before
Mhm.
the show, my computer decided to say I'm moving at my own time, and I'm like, oh God, come on, and just trying to breathe. And sometimes because I felt like I've had everything together, but there are times
mhm,
where we have to move fast in order to
Mhm.
get what needs to be done. And for me, I think it's the authenticity, the transparency, and the acknowledgement of sometimes I have to rush.
Mhm.
Sometimes I go all the time. I come in, and sometimes I recognize even when I'm trying to impress.
Mhm.
Sometimes I recognize when I'm doing too much. Instead of trying to hide that. I mean, I had an emotional EFT this morning, so I'm present to a lot of things. And this session took me EFT's emotional freedom therapy,
mhm,
and where it took me was something that I wasn't even thinking about. And what it
Mhm.
brought up for me, it's like, wow, sometimes I can see that in the past there were things I was doing too much when I didn't need to.
Mhm.
And I think when we spend more time to just recognize what is happening, this is what's happening.
Mhm.
And sometimes I'm just going to have to breathe under my mask.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need to take a breath
right.
before I open my mouth. And
Mhm.
sometimes I'm just going to say, I'm not ready, but we're going to make it work. Because,
Mhm.
the
Right.
whole idea of playing with possibilities, that's what it is. What's happening
Mhm.
now? How
Mhm.
do we deal with times when things look chaotic? You
Yeah.
know?
Well, and often times are chaotic when we're leveling up, right? When we have a
Yes.
new
Mhm.
project, when
Why
we're
can't I get my
launching a
glasses
new
straight?
community or a new book or a new program, um, in addition to what else we're doing. Like sometimes
Mhm.
we can let things go and make space, and other times
Yes.
it's not practical, whether it's
Mhm.
for the communities we're holding space for or financially or whatever. So sometimes we're leveling up and we're adding something new to our plate, right?
Mhm.
Saying no to some things, but also
Mhm.
expanding ourselves in a new way. And
Mhm.
I think we're doing the work as we do it, right?
Mhm.
We are like, okay, if it is a step beyond right where you are, like, okay, there's things that come with that, right?
Mhm.
There's
Mhm.
different
Yep.
practices and tools and techniques we can do and have accountability buddies that
Mhm.
know us well enough to say, I see you adding that new thing. What have you let go of, my friend? Or
Mhm.
how are you taking care of yourself or
Mhm.
restoring? Like,
Mhm.
what is, or, I have people in my life, and I hope I am this for other people, that when we really are off track, that we say, hey, you've checked in the last couple of times and you're not doing so well. So
Mhm.
what do we need to do to support you? Or what can
Yes.
Mhm.
what can shift in your world um
Yes.
to better support? And sometimes there's nothing that can. Like, I have
Right.
friends going through cancer treatment right now, and I have
Mhm.
friends that are dealing with a lot of grief and loss. And sometimes it's just the matter of reaching out and saying, how can I support you?
Mhm.
And
Yes.
letting them tell you, right? Because they're
Yeah.
working at the same time they're doing, like, it's like,
Mhm.
whew,
Mhm. Mhm. Well,
whew,
I was gonna say sometimes the chaos and stuff that comes up, the only thing you can do is sit with it.
Yes.
Just completely out of your control. And all you can do
Mhm.
is say, I feel chaotic right now and
mhm,
I can't change it. So all I can do is sit and breathe.
right?
And the
Mhm.
chaos is moving. It's always
Right.
moving. It may not look like it. So if we sit
Mhm.
with it, we give ourselves space and time for the chaos to
Mhm.
show us what needs to be shown. And then,
Mhm.
oh, okay, or catch a new idea. And eventually the chaos moves on. It's like, you know what? I'm going to go lay down for a minute. I'm exhausted.
Right. Right. But what I notice what tends to happen, at least with me, when the chaos comes around, even at times when I know I should probably be still, I'm sitting still and I'm still looking for ways to fix it and I'm still looking for something, something that I should be doing. Like, okay, when is this going to be over so I can go do the thing I need to do? Why haven't I found the answer yet?
Mm,
You know what bubbles up for me, y'all, is the 5 skills of self care that Sheila and
Mhm.
I talk about in Still Point. And that first one of sorting and separating, like
Mhm.
what is mine and what is not. Because when you talk about the chaos, right? And you talk
Mhm.
about, because there's a lot of chaos in the world, in our
Mhm.
work, in personal, like, so that's what rose up for me when you talked is about the, okay, yes, to sitting still enough to see it and to
Mhm.
recognize what's my piece. Is there
Mhm.
mm,
something to do, or am I supposed
mhm,
to sit here and witness, or
Mhm.
hold the space in a different way? So that sorting and separating what is mine and what's yours and what's the world's,
Mhm.
and what's my piece to do or not do, or to
Right.
undo, as your
Mhm.
work
mhm,
says, Cecile.
Right.
Like,
I
right?
do.
What is that piece?
Mhm.
Yeah.
mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This beautiful thing about what we're talking about is like all of it is a piece of a bigger picture, right?
Mhm.
Because there are times when we're in the middle of it, like I'm just gonna let the chaos pass, and then still trying to fix it.
Right.
There are times when we can just say, you know what, I just gotta sit down. And times when we're saying, what is mine to do? What can I fix
Mhm.
right now? What can I do with this right now? I can just send this email back and say, I'm working on it. I'll get back to you. I get it to you as soon as I can. But there's
Mhm.
always this thing that, we're playing with possibilities and we're constantly playing with
Mhm.
life, dancing with life, with so much
Mhm.
happening in one moment. And if we
Mhm.
can always remember, sometimes we're going to forget and it doesn't matter. But the more we remember to come back to self, the more empowered we are to
Mhm.
decide to choose to remember what needs to be done. It's about coming back to that breath.
Mhm.
It's coming back to the
Mhm.
breath. It's like, whoa, Lord. And even if I'm looking for
Yes.
solutions, like, and in that moment, I may remember something that Christine said or something that you said, Cecile, like,
Mhm.
do I need to fix this? What is mine to do? I'm going to go
Mhm.
take a nap. No, I'm going to ask. I'm going to look at what is mine to do.
Mhm.
And because the moment is always pregnant and is full of the resources that we need. Nothing is
Mhm.
ever lacking. We
Mhm.
think it is.
Right.
Everything we need is right here, right now.
Mhm.
And it's actually not even some kind of woo. It is, but it isn't. It's like in this moment, whether it's a relationship, whether it's money, whether everything you need, no matter whether it's professional or personal, there is an answer. You may not know how to
Mhm.
get to it or there's an answer. All
Mhm.
it takes is a shift. Like, let me go ask my supervisor. Let me go speak to another leader. It's like,
Mhm.
thank you. The answer's here with the
Mhm.
question.
Sometimes it's just to be quiet. Because 'cause I'll tell you, I think it was last week, I had called Christine because I was freaking out about I can't even remember what it was about. I was freaking out about something, and she was like, "Maybe you just need to take a walk." And so I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna take a break." I didn't want to because I wanted to get the thing done right then, but I stopped, and the minute I stepped foot outside, the answer was in my head, and I was like, "I'm not gonna go back in and work. I'm gonna remember this, and I'm gonna take my walk first." And I took my walk, and then I went back
Yeah.
in and sent her a message saying, "Thank you. The walk was what I needed." And then I was able to do what I needed to do.
I love that, Cecile. Thank you for sharing. I was just thinking as y'all were talking about our class on Saturday morning that we did together, where we
Mhm.
interplayed and we really set intention around. I think about when I'm in the chaos or when things are like moving too fast,
Mhm.
sometimes that coming back to balance and that coming back to center by playing literally what you said at it about playing with the possibilities. Like, what do I want to focus on? What's my intention? What do I want to create here? And really embodying it. That was such a powerful session Saturday morning, y'all.
Mhm.
I was like, that was so fun.
Mhm.
And it was, we have this Women Connected in Wisdom book coming out, and Cecile's one of the authors. And then Kamara was in the class, right? And I hadn't
Mhm.
seen Kamara in months. Spirit really was like, hey, you need to invite her to this interplay. So I did, and she comes, right? And I don't know if y'all caught it in that class that she stated as her intention, I am a published author, I get paid to speak. And I called her
Mhm.
after the class and said, hey, are you doing the Women Connected in Wisdom book with us? And she's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, check your email, right? Check your
Right.
email, because what you just spoke is what is happening in September. Like, we have a
Mhm.
book coming out, we have a conference coming out, and check your email. And it was one of those like just powerful, like right
Mhm.
place, right time. This is what is happening in the world. Boom. Right?
And what's cool about that is that her sound was not working. She did
No.
all her communication through typing in the chat and gestures, even though everybody else was talking.
She was in the chaos,
Yep.
still got very clear with her intention of what
Mhm.
happened.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
everything that she was wanting was in the room at that
Yep.
moment.
Yep.
And we made the connection afterwards, and it was powerful, right?
Mhm.
It was
It's so
powerful.
interesting
Yep.
because you talk about everything that she wanted was in the room. Because before you talked about Kamara, what I heard is really is developing a relationship with life
Mhm.
to the extent that we can trust life. To
Ooh,
trust life, that life literally has our back. No matter what we're dealing with, it doesn't matter what it is. I don't
Mhm.
care if there's a war going on that we feel like we need to do something about, but we don't know what to do. Maybe, we're going to get fired in a week or some other company's taking over a company. It doesn't matter. If we develop a relationship with life to trust it,
Mhm.
it gives us the space to know that there are many things in the past that were scary to me,
Mhm.
that I worried about, but I am still here today.
Mhm.
So I overcome. There are things that happened last week that I didn't know. There was things that were chaotic that I was struggling with. I am here.
Mhm.
Life will always, not will always gives us what we need.
Mhm.
Sometimes, as I always say, sometimes we just got to slow down and catch up with the blessing. Sometimes we just have to slow down to catch up with the wisdom, with the insight, with the answer, whatever it is. But when we treat life as a problem to solve,
Mm.
we become a problem. Life is
Mhm.
not a problem to solve. It is an experience to have. Whatever it is, across board, if you really can develop a relationship to trust life, it doesn't matter what it is. I dare anybody else to tell me, well, it doesn't work in this situation. I got you.
so
Christine is coming.
I
I
have
can see
two
Christine leaning
things.
forward.
I have two things that are coming
Yep.
up for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my clinical hat is coming on, because that's how
Mm-hmm.
I'm trained as a clinical
Mm-hmm.
social worker. So that hat is coming on to say yes, and if you are
Mhm.
currently in trauma, have just been through um, situational trauma or long-term trauma,
Mm-hmm.
yes, and we got to get you to that trust. And there are practices, and there are healing, and there's therapy that can help process the trauma to get you to that
Mm-hmm.
trust, because it's really hard to get to that trust when you're
Right.
in an active state of trauma. And
Mhm.
then
Mm-hmm.
the second thing is, I love that you're bringing this up, because that workshop that I did this weekend with Shannon, one of the phrases that came out of it was trust inspires bliss.
Mm.
So trust inspires bliss.
Mhm.
And so, really, that playing with the possibilities and being engaged in life
Mm-hmm.
and trusting and acknowledging that there are things that get in the way of that trust.
Mhm.
But that when we're in that flow and when we're in that space, it is a
Mm-hmm.
place of joy and bliss.
Mhm.
And I want to say this word, but it never comes out of my mouth right. So, y'all help me. Reciprocity.
That's it.
I think it came out.
Yeah.
It came out the
Trust
first
life.
time. It's very rare that that word comes out of my mouth the first time. But yeah, like in that flow, in that
That's what I
place.
was gonna say. When you get in the flow, when you're in
Mhm,
serendipity, that's
Mm-hmm.
that state.
mhm,
Mhm. I've
mhm.
been there and I love it. I have to say I'm
Mm-hmm.
not quite there right now. I feel like I'm a little bit out of it and I want to get back there.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
But I want to say something. Even when you're in trauma, when I'm there, I may not be able to think about trust in life, but life itself it's taking care of me. When I'm talking about life, it's not just what I can do. The
Mhm.
fact that maybe a call can come, the fact that there is a social worker that can support me, the fact that I have maybe counseling, that is still life
Mhm.
that's constantly resourcing itself as me, even in my trauma. The fact that even in the trauma, my body is doing everything that it knows to do to regulate, to bring me back. That's what I'm saying. It's not just an individual thing. Sometimes we can consciously do it,
Right.
but
Mhm.
life itself is constantly seeking to bring balance. That's what I'm
Mhm.
speaking to.
I hear you, my friend.
Mm.
I
Mhm.
hear you.
Yep.
Or like Stacey Abrams says in her book Lead from the Outside, she says it's life work Jenga, not
Mm.
balance. So that image is always in my head. Like
Mm.
it's constantly, and if somebody tugs one of those things too hard or too
Yes,
fast, you can fall apart, right? And then you just
yes,
Mhm.
have to rebuild, right?
that's
But
right.
Mhm.
rebuild it,
That's
right?
Yep.
It
right.
may be a loud crash, it may be all over the
Mm-hmm.
place, but just pick it up and start to rebuild it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
And in crashing, you might find yourself going, you know what? I want to lay down here for a little while.
Right,
Oh my
right,
God, I've been standing up
right.
for a long time. My back hurts.
Mhm.
Right.
Yes,
Yep.
Yeah.
yes.
Well, and I to speak to
Mm.
that piece about being embodied, to
Mm.
know
Mm-hmm.
when it's time to
Mm-hmm.
rest, to
Mhm.
be
Mm-hmm.
really in touch with ourselves, to
Mm-hmm.
know
Mhm.
when because what happens, I know you talking about Cecile being a little out of the flow. Like I'll be in the flow and then I'll be like just whoa about the flow and I'll let some of my practices fall out, whether that's the
Uh-huh.
walking or the
Mm.
stretching or the eating clean or
Or
I
taking
will
breaks.
or oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
These are my
Mhm.
friends that call me in. Yeah. So knowing that like you're, because I do with my ADD, like I get hyper focused. And the
Mhm.
last couple of weeks have been one of those weeks. And then I get out of the flow in regards to my it's not sustainable in my body
Right.
if I'm
Right.
not paying attention.
Mhm.
Like I can only do one, maybe two 15-hour days in this chair, and my body's like, ah, what are you doing to me?
Mhm.
And so that piece of it, right?
Mhm.
About being embodied and being like, oh, yeah, I may not want to go take that walk, but that's what I
Right.
need to do, right?
Mhm.
To
Because I did
stay in the
last week. I didn't
flow,
wanna stop, but I
right?
Mhm.
did. Mhm.
Well, especially when it's good stuff. I think that's the trickiest. It's easy to stop when you're like, "Oh, this is crap," right?
Right.
But
Right.
when it's really good stuff or you're
Mhm.
meeting with a really cool person or you have this like
Yes.
Mhm.
and it's like, "Oh, yeah." And then it's
Mhm.
like, "Wait a second. When was the last time I
Or
ate something?"
it might not even be a good thing, but it might be when you have a deadline and you just feel like, "I can't
Mm,
stop because this has to be done by
Got to
such and
keep
such a
going.
time." Yep.
I
right?
trust life, but
Right.
There's a deadline. Yeah, I got a couple of
Mhm.
yes,
those in my future that I'm like,
yes.
"Ooh, that's it." Well, everybody
Mhm.
listening is either turned in their taxes, it's in process, or you're in the, "Hey, y'all, it's this week. It's a
Right.
week from today that they're due." Just giving everybody the heads up. It's a
Mhm.
week from today that taxes are due.
Mhm.
And, yeah, so
And somebody just
deadlines.
said, "Oh yeah, taxes." You says they're in the middle of it. Oh my God, yes.
A little
Yeah.
bit of chaos, a little bit thing we all do, right?
Mhm.
Breathe.
And right, everybody take a deep
Mhm.
breath, and you're not behind because
That's
Nope.
it.
you got
Yeah, you
time,
still got a week.
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Somebody was sending out a note on LinkedIn last week that said something about and for those late filers, and I'm like, wait, we got until the 8th. It's not the day before. You can tell where I'm at, but it's all. I say that jokingly. It's all been in process, gathering it, getting all the information together. It's not, but it's
Mhm.
a thing.
Yeah,
So
it's a total thing.
right. And
Whew,
we
so
can
do y'all
play
wanna
with it
take
and laugh and breathe.
I was getting ready to
Yes.
ask y'all if y'all wanna take another deep breath.
Yes, please.
Mhm.
Okay, alright. Sit up straight if you started slouching. Check in with your shoulders, your jaw, wherever you usually carry your tension, check in with that part of your body, and if it's there, intentionally let it go. And then if you need to put your hands on your belly so you can feel it, that's okay. If you don't, that's okay too. And let's take in a deep breath. And then at your own pace, go ahead and exhale. And let's do one more
Mhm.
inhale And then when you're ready, you can let it go.
Hmm.
And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Trust life, trust your breath. Your
Yes.
breath is life.
Trust
Hmm.
invites bliss.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. Do you guys have anything you want to say before we close out today? I mean, that trust life, trust your breath could just be the final thing.
Hmm.
Yes. And if you're nervous about that, you can join me on my podcast tomorrow on Facebook and YouTube. You can go to my website for more information, Being You, the podcast. And the topic tomorrow is surrender.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah.
And Wednesday, Women
That's 1
Connected in
p.m. Eastern.
Wisdom.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
1
Thank you.
p.m. Eastern.
On YouTube, right?
And
Yes.
then Wednesday, Women Connected in Wisdom podcast goes live at 5 p.m. Eastern. And our topic, our special guest is Claire Brummel, and we're talking about universal needs. I can't
Oh.
wait to have this conversation because she gave us pushback probably about a year ago about using Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Hmm.
And she's got a whole new system that is incredible. And it's
Oh.
about how we meet our own needs and
Hmm.
universal needs across the human experience. So yeah, that's happening tomorrow on YouTube, Facebook, or on LinkedIn.
Tomorrow, Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday. Thank you for catching
I
me.
was going to ask the
Yours
question
is
too.
tomorrow. Mine is Wednesday. Cecile, you, me. That's the order. We got
Cecile,
it.
you and me. I like that. That sounds like a phrase. Cecile, you and me.
That's right. Right.
Cecile, you and me.
And I just want to invite people to check out my blog. I post a blog every Wednesday at 9 o'clock. Can't tell you what the topic is for this week because I haven't written it yet, but it'll be up on Wednesday. And you can go to my website, which is just my name, cecilearmstrong.com/blog, and there will be my blog post. And if you are at all interested in learning my method for actually learning anti-racist behavior and then implementing that in your life and in your community, then again, go to my website and I am happy to talk with you about that and have you join Inspired by Indigo.
Yeah, join us in the community. It's fabulous, y'all. Come
Hmm.
join us.
All right. I will see y'all next week.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it, friends. Grateful to be on this journey with you.
Yes,
Thank
indeed.
you.
Cecile, you and me.